Welcome and thank you for attending the Alternatives Public Meeting for improving Neptune Road from Parton Settlement Road to US 192 in Osceola County. This meeting is part of the Project Development and Environment, or PD&E study. Osceola County is conducting this meeting as an open house or workshop format. You are welcome to come and go as you please, review the various exhibits, speak with study personnel, and get your questions answered. We welcome your comments. This meeting and study are being conducted without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. Persons wishing to express their concerns relative to compliance by Osceola County with Title VI may do so by contacting the Civil Rights Program Coordinator shown here. All inquiries or complaints will be handled according to Osceola County procedure and in a prompt and courteous manner. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to describe the study process, explain the project and the alternatives being evaluated, review the benefits and impacts of the alternatives to the natural, physical, social, and cultural environments, answer your questions, and obtain your comments on the alternatives, which will help in the selection of the preferred alternative. The objectives of this PD&E study are to perform engineering, social, and environmental studies of a proposed transportation improvement to support decisions concerning if and how it should be built, and the basic design concepts. The project is located in Osceola County, Florida, between the cities of Kissimmee and St. Cloud. The project extends from Parton Settlement Road to US 192, a distance of 3.9 miles. The primary purpose of improving Neptune Road is to enhance mobility from US 192 and St. Cloud to downtown Kissimmee, improve access to NeoCity, and improve overall traffic operations of the existing roadway network within the project study area. The secondary objectives are to provide transportation infrastructure to support economic growth, provide consistency with local plans and policies, and enhance safety. The need for the project is to provide system linkage, provide additional capacity, address transportation demand, meet social and economic needs, provide improved modal interrelationships, improve safety, and achieve consistency with transportation plans. The PD&E study process includes several steps. In September 2018, newsletters were mailed out to notify people of the study. Alternatives were then developed and narrowed down to viable alternatives. The alternatives public meeting being held tonight will provide an opportunity for the public to review the alternatives and provide comments on them. After tonight, the alternatives will be further refined. In late January or early February 2020, a public hearing will be held where the recommended preferred build alternative and the no-build alternative will be presented. Following the hearing, the recommended build or no-build alternative will be selected by Osceola County. Two alternatives are being evaluated for the 1.8-mile section from Parton Settlement Road to Ames Haven Road, referred to as Alternative 1 and Alternative 2. Both alternatives include a 4-lane divided roadway with 11-foot lanes. A 4-foot bicycle lane and a 12-foot multi-use path is provided on both sides of the roadway. For Alternative 1, widening occurs primarily to the north side of Neptune Road. A minimum of 130 feet of right-of-way is needed for this alternative, with a typical right-of-way width of 139 feet. Alternative 2 includes the same roadway section elements. However, widening occurs primarily to the south side of Neptune Road. This alternative requires the relocation of power poles to the north side of Neptune Road. A minimum of 139 feet of right-of-way is needed for this alternative. From Ames Haven Road to Old Canoe Creek Road, both alternatives 1 and 2 are basically the same. For the 1-mile section from Ames Haven Road to the canal just east of the turnpike, both alternatives include widening on both sides of Neptune Road. For the 0.6-mile section from east of the canal to Old Canoe Creek Road, both alternatives include widening to the south of Neptune Road. A minimum of 130 feet of right-of-way is needed for this alternative, with a typical right-of-way width of 139 feet. Two alternatives are being evaluated for the half-mile section from Old Canoe Creek Road to US 192, referenced as Alternative A and Alternative B. Alternative A includes a 4-lane undivided road with 10-foot lanes, a 10-foot multi-use path on the north side of the road, and a 6-foot sidewalk on the south side of the road. This alternative is not expected to require additional right-of-way. Alternative B includes a 5-lane road with 10-foot lanes and an 11-foot center 2-way left turn lane, a 10-foot multi-use path on the north side of the road, and a 6-foot sidewalk on the south side of the road. Some restrictions may be added to create a center median. This alternative will need additional right-of-way on the north side of Neptune Road. From Parton Settlement Road to Old Canoe Creek Road, Alternative 1 and Alternative 2 have the same access management plan. Osceola County is establishing an access management classification of 5 for this section of Neptune Road. This allows for full median openings with 1/4 mile spacing and directional median openings with 660 feet of spacing. Directional median openings allow for right in, right out, and left in movements accessing the side streets. However, left turns out from the side streets are not permitted. For each alternative, full median openings will be provided at all existing intersections, except Sugarcane Drive will have a directional opening, G&H Drive will only have right in and right out movements, Sunnyside Avenue will only have right in and right out movements, Breezewood Street will only have right in and right out movements, the Middle School East Drive will only have right in and right out movements, and the St. Cloud Police Station will have full access for emergency vehicles. However, only right in and right out movements will be allowed if the police station moves to a different location. From Old Canoe Creek Road to US 192, Alternative A and Alternative B have the same access management plan. Osceola County is establishing an access management classification of 7 for this section of Neptune Road. This allows for full median openings with 1/8 mile spacing and directional median openings with 330 feet of spacing. No change to the existing access is being proposed for either alternative. It should be noted that Alternative B includes a center 2-way left turn lane, and restrictions may be added in some locations to create a center median. Exhibit boards are on display, which illustrate the alternatives being evaluated. For all exhibits, approximate property lines and existing right-of-way are identified, as well as the needed right-of-way for each alternative. Conceptual median openings are also identified, with some being subject to change. Feel free to review these exhibits. Staff is available to answer any questions you may have. One exhibit covers the segment from Parton Settlement Road to Ames Haven Road, and it illustrates Alternative 1 at the top of the board and Alternative 2 across the bottom of the board. Generally, Alternative 1 widens to the north and Alternative 2 widens to the south. By comparing the exhibits, you should be able to determine where the new right-of-way is needed. Another exhibit covers the segment from Ames Haven Road to Old Canoe Creek Road, and it illustrates both Alternative 1 and Alternative 2 at the top of the board, as these alternatives are the same through this area. Existing conditions are shown across the bottom of the board for reference purposes. The exhibit for the segment from Old Canoe Creek Road to US 192 illustrates Alternative A at the top of the board and Alternative B across the bottom. Alternative A is within the existing right-of-way. Alternative B widens to the north and requires acquisition of additional right-of-way. The Alternatives Evaluation Matrix is also on display for your review. For the segment from Parton Settlement Road to Old Canoe Creek Road, we see Alternative 1 in the blue column and Alternative 2 in the orange. Alternative 1 will need right-of-way from 75 residential parcels compared to 58 for Alternative 2. Alternative 1 will need right-of-way from 8 non-residential parcels compared to 6 for Alternative 2. Alternative 1 is expected to require 9 residential relocations compared to 25 relocations for Alternative 2. No non-residential relocations are anticipated for either alternative. Both alternatives impact 9 potentially contaminated parcels. Neither alternative is expected to have any adverse effects on wildlife and wildlife habitat. Both alternatives are within the 660-foot buffer of two bald eagle nests. Both have medium impacts to wetlands and surface waters and medium impacts to floodplains. Both alternatives have impacts to potential Section 4F uses, including Parton Triangle Park and the Bill Johnston Memorial Pathway. Both alternatives affect 6 community facilities, which include the St. Cloud Police Department, Parton Triangle Park, Neptune Middle School, the Trail, and 2 churches. Without the improvement, volume to capacity ratios on this segment will range from 1.82 to 1.93, meaning that traffic volumes will be almost twice the capacity of the roadway. Both alternatives will reduce the volume to capacity ratio from 0.9 to 1.1. The construction cost for Alternative 1 is approximately $39 million compared to $40 million for Alternative 2. No right-of-way costs have been developed at this time for either alternative. Alternative 1 will require approximately $2 million in utility relocations compared to $4 million with Alternative 2. Excluding right-of-way cost, Alternative 1 is projected to cost approximately $41.4 million compared to approximately $44.5 million for Alternative 2. For the segment from Old Canoe Creek Road to US 192, Alternative A is shown in the purple column and Alternative B in the gray column. No right-of-way from any residential parcels is needed for Alternative A or B. No right-of-way from any non-residential parcels is needed for Alternative A, while Alternative B will need right-of-way from 4 non-residential parcels. Neither alternative is expected to require any residential or non-residential relocations. Both alternatives impact 16 potentially contaminated parcels. Neither alternative is expected to have any adverse effects on wildlife and wildlife habitat. Both alternatives are within the 330-foot buffer of a bald eagle nest. Both alternatives have minimal impacts to wetlands and surface waters and minimal impacts to floodplains. Neither alternative have impacts to potential Section 4F uses. Both alternatives affect 3 community facilities, which include the 2 group care facilities and a preschool. Without the improvement, the volume to capacity ratio on this segment will be 1.94, meaning that the traffic volume will be almost twice the capacity of the roadway. Alternative A will reduce the volume to capacity ratio to 1.1, and Alternative B will reduce the volume to capacity ratio to 0.9. The construction cost for Alternative A is approximately $3.3 million compared to $3.5 million for Alternative B. No right-of-way costs have been developed at this time. Neither alternative will require utility relocations. Excluding right-of-way cost, Alternative A is projected to cost approximately $3.3 million compared to approximately $3.5 million for Alternative B. For the full improvement from Parton Settlement Road to US 192, Alternatives 1 or 2 can be combined with Alternatives A or B. The total project cost, excluding right-of-way cost, is $44.6 million for Alternative 1A, $44.8 million for Alternative 1B, $47.8 million for Alternative 2A, and $48 million for Alternative 2B. Following this meeting, the comments you provided will be taken into consideration and a recommended preferred alternative will be identified. The recommended preferred alternative will be further developed and documentation will be prepared. The recommended preferred alternative, along with the no-build alternative, will be presented at a public hearing anticipated to occur in late January or early February 2020. Following the hearing, the county will select the preferred alternative. This concludes the presentation for the Neptune Road PD&E Study Alternatives Public Meeting. The presentation will begin again momentarily.